a lot of harassment base while trading up his economy, going for more Hellions and a fusion core. So here we got Quiet Rice going for battle cruiser straight off the bat. So this is sort of interesting, a 3-star port off a 2-base battle cruiser build with Hellions, so that Marines can't shoot him. And he's getting up a Raven and Viking, so he won't be able to use any of the Vikings against the battle cruisers. This is actually quite a sick build here by Quiet Rice. Although Quiet Rice is going to try to do a little bit of skirmish here, Cookin does find those Hellions, so he will be able to nullify that harass as much as possible. At the same time, Quiet Rice is going to get another bunker just to be safe, because with this huge amount of teching and investment, he needs to do as much damage as possible. He needs to be as safe as possible before he can do damage. Meanwhile, Cookin just getting up more tanks, more Vikings, more Marines, just doing that standard TVT build. Neither player, of course, choosing to just overcommit their units. And look, I like that Cookin is grabbing his 3rd base. Pretty safe timing. He does have a superior tank count. Actually, so superior that Quiet Rice has no tanks whatsoever. So a tankless TVT style, I like it. I like it a lot. And Quiet Rice, of course, gonna just have to be more and more defensive, just moving around his Vikings and Ravens as much as possible. Now the first battle cruiser, second battle cruiser is on the way. So first 2 are on the way, and Quiet Rice, of course. I feel like at this point, Quiet Rice is going to just go for straight up battlecruisers Vikings, so command of the air, it will be really important. And then as soon as the Marines are shooting the air, the Hellions just come in and then swoop everything out with their blue lighters. Now Cookin is going to try to reposition everything accordingly. You want to siphon off these 2 chokes over here. You want to position a tank to siphon off here. Here comes some more Hellions though from Quiet Rice. He pulls back wisely though, sees a bunch of tanks, does not want to engage that. But Quiet Rice at the same time wants to make sure that the map isn't on too full lockdown, because again, if Cookin spreads out really well, his influence is to expand, especially since he wants to expand to get more resources for things like battle cruisers. He wants to be able to grab that. Looks like Quiet Rice is going to stumble upon a turret here in the left. Cookin going to lose that turret. He does have a Marine here as well, which is actually really smart, since Cookin will know that these Hellions are trying to go for a backdoor play. So instead, looks like Cookin gonna build supply depots in response. So great job here. He's gonna try to just get up a wall so that Quiet Rice can't do much damage. And Quiet Rice is overall gonna finally throw down his second expansion. Gonna try to kill the rocks. Meanwhile, looks like Cookin gonna get up his gold as soon as possible. Now it looks like Cookin just pretty much just chilling at this point. He's cooking and relaxing. Great combination. Point defense drone forced out of that Raven. Nice job there. Looks like the Banshees are going to town on these on all of these siege tanks. And he does have Cloak, keep in mind, so if he can snipe the Raven, that would actually be doubly huge. And right now it's going to come down all to micro and positioning. More Marines are on the way, but a huge burst of Hellions come here. Looks like the tanks are going to try to do as much damage to them as possible, but the Hellions are pretty much intent on weakening. Look at all those weak Marines. Here comes the stim though. And looks like the Raven was sniped, so Cookin has no way to detect. He is going to have to scan, but the battlecruiser here is completely surprising. Look at that battlecruiser being a hero. 10 kills for this battlecruiser, and these Banshees are now free to do damage, but the Thors are here to save the day, so he will be able to drive up the Sky Terran style of Quiet Rice. Quiet Rice, of course, having almost no ground units at this point, going pretty much completely air. A very interesting concept here by Quiet Rice. And he's all going to go for more factory units, though he probably wants to get more Hellions and tanks as well. Maybe even wants to go for Thors for himself. But Quiet Rice doing a lot of pressure, forcing Cookin to stop mining his out of his gold so he can get up his expansion. Meanwhile, another scan does go down. Cookin, of course, pretty much has this area on lockdown with 4 turrets. He should be able to defend it quite easily. So Quiet is going to have to find different, more creative ways to do damage. And looks like Quiet is going to get up his 3rd base as soon as possible. We do have Quiet taking down this backdoor rock that thought a battle was going on. He is going to try to do for a double expand, so pretty nice there. Meanwhile, let's pull up the unit counting station, as we do see Quiet Rice does have that SCV lead, constantly making SCVs very nice. But we do have Cookin at 3 Thors, so he will be able to shoot those Banshees from afar and be able to keep them at bay. but he needs to get another Raven out because, of course, those Ravens will be important for those Vikings endpoint defense drone. And frankly, Cookin has no way to deal with the battle cruisers, considering he only has Marines and Thors as his anti-air, and Thors against battle cruisers are so bad considering how much armor they have. And looks like Kawhi Rice is going to be able to has to defend against this giant push for Cookin. Not really sure what Cookin is really thinking of at this point, because at this he does have an economic advantage. He should just kind of continue to macro up. But instead, he's going to try to deny Kawhi Rice's third. But here comes a huge battle cruiser Viking Banshee force from Kawhi Rice. A ton of damage here, landing the Vikings, because the Vikings are pretty much using Yamato cannons going down on the Thors. And it looks like one Thor will finally go down. And Kawhi Rice looks like he's just going to burn through the rest of the anti-air Marines. And just going to go through the Thors completely. Kawhi Rice, of course, lifting off just in case he wants to with that expansion. These battle cruisers doing tons of damage. Cookin just not knowing what to do. He's going to just charge in here, but he does have bunkers here. So Kawhi Rice ready here with a bunch of Hellions and Marines to cut through the tanks. And Kawhi Rice looks like he's going to just cut through the rest of the army. He did lose a significant amount of SCVs though. Man, he lost 30 SCVs there. So that was a pretty huge thing for Kawhi Rice. That's pretty much the only thing that he that was going against him in that battle. But at the same time, the army tab is just so much bigger for Kawhi Rice. He does have pretty much a double investment in almost everything. At this point, Cookin is just pretty much he has to sit back at this point. He can't really do anything. He has to fight by the turrets, because the turrets will be his only way to survive against this massive battlecruiser style from Kawhi Rice. And Cookin looks like he's going to send more SCVs to battle with his Marines and Marauders. Thors are now trying to engage, but everything's clumped up. Not being able to get massive more Yamato cannons going down. Looks like the Thors will be weakened. One Thor being completely taken out. Looks like the Vikings are arriving to the battle. Kawhi Rice losing a couple battle cruisers to these turrets and Vikings. He needs to get more of his anti-air force here. Looks like one more battle cruiser does die. Kawhi Rice needs to be careful. Doesn't want to lose too many units here, even though he is in a pretty big lead, as he does have his fourth base now pretty much almost operational. As he is doing that SCV transfer. Now, we do see Kawhi Rice not stopping battlecruiser production, but he hasn't resumed the Viking production. So might he actually, this is actually quite interesting, as he might do a complete tech switch to tanks, which would be really devastating, since the tanks pretty much going to force Cookin to stop making Marauders, since he's only making Marines at this point. But actually Cookin, he does see the tanks, so he is making more Marauders. That would have actually been a pretty epic tech switch, if he forces a bunch of Marines and then suddenly basically goes a bunch of siege tanks. Looks like the siege tanks are there to just take out the turrets though, so nice job here by Kawhi Rice just to completely fortify his positioning at this point. And Kawhi Rice, of course, just going to pull back here. Meanwhile, Cookin doing a great job just holding off everything he can. He is going for +3 weapons. That is something that he's been on top of, as Kawhi Rice pretty much has no upgrades here at this point, just relying on pure macro off his production. Cookin, of course, getting up really high in upgrades will help a lot, especially with Marauders. And he does have an upgrade on his tank, so great job here from Cookin to get up his upgrades. He is grabbing his fourth and transferring his SCVs. So overall, let's pull up the unit counting station once again. We do see Kawhi Rice climbing back completely in the SCV count, making 20 SCVs in the speed of light, because he does have 4 command centers. At the same time, Cookin does have that better, more SCV, because he does have, he was not able to lose any of them. And looks like Kawhi Rice is going to try to engage again, but at the same time he does pull back, so the siege tank here is going to die very, very soon. The Kawhi, of course, is going to try to engage. Here comes a huge stim, so Cookin pretty much committed to attacking here. The Vikings and Marines are trying to do as much damage to these battlecruisers. More Yamato cannons are going down on the Thors, so the siege tanks can target other things. Looks like more and more Thors are coming into the battle, but Thors, of course, are terrible anti-air against battlecruisers, considering they only do 7 damage times 4, so 28 damage, but it is reduced by 3 every shot. So GG, yo. Cookin Relaxi will tap out, and Kawhi Rice will move on in this series, or in this tournament, by taking it 2-0. So great job to Kawhi Rice, and overall that was a very, very interesting build he chose to do off the 2 base, transitioning to 4 bases, going battlecruiser Viking Banshee, transitioning to tech switch to tanks. So that was a pretty baller build over there. If in fact I've never seen that kind of style played directly, although it was alluded to by kind of Echoic, man, I keep screwing up his name, who kind of transitions to battlecruisers. But overall, Kawhi Rice doing a great job controlling his units correctly and just not getting too greedy when he surprised his opponent. And overall, Cookin played pretty well and held on a lot of times, but overall he just couldn't fend off against those battle cruisers. I don't think Thor's was the right choice there. He probably should have tried to focus more on Vikings. But of course, mass Vikings is only so good, especially since Kawhi Rice did have a considerable ground army as well. So with that being said, it looks like we're just gonna wait to see what's gonna happen next, what series we have next. And again, if you're just tuning in, we are watching the Monday Night StarCraft tournament that is hosted by the MLG community. So again, if you're tuning in, thank you very much for watching. It is the link is posted, or the bracket is posted in the chat, so definitely check that out if you are interested. At the same time, we do have another match for you momentarily. I think it's going to be Toro versus Kawhi Rice. I think, if I have to look up the brackets, yes it is actually. So it's going to be Kawhi Rice versus Toro from Root Gaming. Meanwhile, in the top bracket, it will be Sheth versus Kershki, which would be a ZVZ. So it's pretty interesting. No matter what, we're going to have a unique matchup. Unique, of course, meaning it won't be a mirror matchup of any kind. And of course, Sheth is streaming, so if you want to, just go check him out at on Team Liquid website. Alright, so again, don't go anywhere. We are going to be right back with this third series between Kawhi Rice and Toro from Root Gaming. Alright, so we're just waiting for the invites. We will be able to get the players up momentarily. And actually, we're having a little bit of confusion here. I guess they're waiting for, they're kind of like flipping coins of who wants to make the map, although I'm not really sure why. So again, I guess I'll just talk a little bit about the tournament. We are going to start on these Elnaga Caverns first, I do believe. And, alright, Alright, whatever. I'm just gonna host then, since there is a little bit of confusion. Okay, so with that being said, again, check out the link in the